Hello and welcome to the Aquarius Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Reed. Today's date is Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. My guest today is Dustin Ward. Dustin is the owner of The Fish Room, a fish store specializing in freshwater fish and plants in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Dustin is a passionate hobbyist who turned his love of fish keeping into a full-time career when he opened The Fish Room in May of 2021. I'm excited to have Dustin on and hear about his journey from hobbyist to store owner. So Dustin, welcome to the podcast.
Randy, I appreciate you having me here today. It's a pleasure. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has kind of been like a year in the making, and I'm glad we're finally able to, make time in our schedules to jump on an internet call and hear about your nerdy fish journey, Dustin.
Oh yeah, man. It started probably off and on the last 12 years, but consistently keeping aquariums for the past 7. I originally had about 30 aquariums inside of a 8x8 laundry room. And the goal with that was to streamline breed my own guppies. And I was kind of working with the local fish stores there, trying to help fund the next project to keep it going.
Can you kind of unpack and actually, what we need to do? We need to do the paying the bills section first before we dump into your origin story, which I'm very excited to hear about these guppies that you were working with. So this episode is sponsored by Aquarium Co-op. Your store happens to be a retail partner program store, one of the OGs at this point. Would you mind shouting out like 1 or 2 Aquarium Co-op products that you would like to sponsor this episode?
Oh, most definitely. Let's start off with one that I use every single day, which would be the brine shrimp eggs. I go through about a can about once a week to every 10 days, using that in my personal fish room and then also throughout the store. So I really enjoy the hatch rate and the separation rate that they have.
Yeah, the brine shrimp eggs are phenomenal. If you haven't tried them, try them. They are premium. They are the more expensive brine shrimp eggs on the market. It's not something that we're proud of in terms of like, yes, we have the G-Wagon of brine shrimp eggs from a price point perspective. We tried our best to get the price down, but we just couldn't. Even a bulk can, and I know Corey talked about this recently, that the savings to go up to a 1-pound can, the manufacturer is only willing to give us like a 4-cent cost savings. And at that point, it's not really worth carrying another SKU to basically not be able to pass on any savings to our customers, unfortunately. But that brine shrimp egg separation, though, is what enabled me to actually hatch brine shrimp eggs in my fish room, because I was getting so frustrated with the amount of hatched eggs or unhatched eggs that were mixing in once you stopped the air going into the brine shrimp hatcher. Like, I was so frustrated that with my good brine shrimp sitting at the bottom that I wanted to feed was all the eggs. Like, half the eggs were just sitting in there, and it drove me absolutely crazy. And then when we started testing our eggs, for months on end, seeing that separation just made it a game changer for me. So personally, with a biased opinion, I do feel that they are the best brine shrimp eggs on the market for the separation alone. And I would even personally take a lower hatch rate to maintain that separation, which thankfully you don't have to make that compromise. But that's just personally how important the separation is for me.
Oh, most definitely. I agree. You don't want to feed unhatched eggs or still egg casings to live baby fish and all that.
Yeah, impaction, I know there's some kind of like, some people throw it in there, some people don't. And to me, it's one of those, like, if you can avoid it, it's probably better to avoid it. So yeah, shout out to Aquarium Co-op brine shrimp eggs, available at most of our retail partner stores, like the Fish Room in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, and online at aquariumcoop.com. So thanks for that, Dustin. All right, back to your guppies though. In your origin story, you're talking about trying to work with some guppies. Can you give me some details on how did you decide that you wanted to work with guppies, and can you kind of describe what they were, like what strains were you working with? What was your goal that you were trying to produce?
Yeah, most definitely. So what got me into guppies was mostly the color and the varieties that you could have off of one species. And then also I have very hard water with where I live. And so it was very easy to keep them going. And sadly, the local stores and box stores, they were having issues with their guppies because they were getting them overseas and they were being bred in brackish water. So I just wanted to try to promote a quality fish to the local consumers. And I was working with quite a few different strains. I was working with black Moscow guppies, some albino full red guppies. I had some galaxy blue neon guppies. And I was just trying to kind of line stream them, just make them a bigger, robust fish, have larger tails and bigger finnages. And when I was working with this, I was trying to work out some deals with the local stores, and it was kind of during the pandemic. And when that was going down, they weren't really trying to purchase fish off of Hobbyist. They were just trying to keep ends met by month to month. And so I was working really hard with these local fish that I was trying to just get the most robust that I could. And I saw the opportunity when the pandemic was going on. The government was giving out a couple stimulus checks. And I saw that as the opportunity for me to use that to open up my own little retail store. And so when I started, I was using these little guppies to help fund the store. And so when I first opened, I had a total of 9 aquariums. And out of those 9 aquariums, 4 of them were dedicated to just guppies. And then the other 5 were dedicated to monster fish.
That's kind of two interesting ends of the hobby spectrum there. The kind of community tank, peaceful guppy fish, less than an inch long, to monster fish.
Oh yeah, and it was super crazy. I was having silver arowanas, I had stingrays, just things that were unrealistic. I thought, as all new potential fish business owners thought, oh, I'll carry the things that the local stores don't already have. And that's going to be the way I'm going to get my money. I quickly learned that that's not the case. No one wants to buy the arowana or the stingray. They just want to come in and look at it and appreciate it. And it's a great thing to have in the store to show, but it's hard to stay in business when you only have 4 guppy tanks making you profits.
Can we kind of break that down? So what size were your guppy tanks? Like, how many gallons was each guppy tank?
So for home purposes, I had a total of the 30 plus tanks, and they were ranging from 20 gallons all the way down to 5 gallons. And so I was using the 20 gallons for the breeders, and then I would separate them out into 5 gallons. And then when I was able to actually sex them, I would move them over to the 10 gallons. And then I would keep them separate from male and female, and then I would reintroduce the ones that I wanted to rebreed back into the 20. And then if I ever wanted to separate like a male or a female, I also had a couple larger tanks, and I would separate all the males into a male guppy tank. And then when I was done with the females, I would retire them into a female guppy tank as well.
And then with the female guppy tank, would that just be mixed species, like just, a kaleidoscope of all the different varieties of female guppy just in that one tank?
Yeah, so it's just a wide variety of all the females. I typically used it just as like a retirement tank or a culling tank. I typically don't like to cull fish. I just would never use them as my breeders.
Sure. No, I can appreciate that. Going back to your store, though, so what size? So the display tanks, your sales tanks for the guppies, in the very beginning, you had 4 guppy tanks. What gallons were those?
Those were also 20 gallons.
Okay, so those are 20 gallons. And then roughly, and again, I'm trying to paint like the profitability picture for the listeners. How many guppies would you have in each of those 20-gallon tanks?
So I would have around 25 pairs. So I was selling them by the pair at $14.99 a pair.
Okay. And then now let's talk about that silver arowana tank. How many gallons was the silver arowana tank, your monster tank?
So luckily we had that arowana when it was only around 4 or 5 inches. So we were keeping it in a 20 long. And then when it shortly outgrew that, we moved it over to a 40 breeder.
Okay.
And luckily,
and then did it have any tank mates, or was it a solo fish in that 20 long or even in the 40?
So when we moved it to the 40, it went with the small stingray that we had.
Okay. But was it by itself in the 20 long?
Yeah. So we kept it solo in the 20 long.
And then price point is probably under $100 for that fish?
So
Or is it? I've never really priced out an arowana, honestly. That's not my cup of tea. But what were you listing that one at?
So we had one arowana that was farm raised, farm bred, and we were selling that one at $100. And then we had a wild caught one that was in its separate 20 gallon as well, and we were selling that one at $149.99.
Right. But from like a perspective of like, the ability to generate profit, to keep your lights on, to go, to be able to reinvest back into your business, the profitability from the guppy tanks far outweighing, the one arowana that's selling for $100 while an individual fish is selling for a bigger ticket price. Your precious retail space, and in our hobby, right? Like you just can't put a fish on a shelf, right? It's got to go in an aquarium. It's got to go in a water box. So your ability to just generate more sales out of guppy tanks selling pairs when you've got 25 pairs to a tank versus your one monster fish, is definitely the better business move for you.
Oh, most definitely. And I quickly learned that to stay in business, I had to adapt that direction. Luckily, though, for the first year of me being in business, I still worked as a bartender at Red Robin. And so
Oh, nice.
every Sunday, I would go work about a 12, 13-hour shift to just help restock the store. The store was able to generate enough funds to keep the bills going, but not enough to reinvest. So for over a year, I basically worked two full-time jobs. Not technically at Red Robin, but it was only a 13-hour shift. But I was using that money to just keep introducing new products, set up new tanks. I've been trying to do this entire journey without any bank loans. Luckily, I've done that fairly well. So
Nice.
this month is our 3-year anniversary. I'm proud to say that. And we've done this entire journey with no bank loans. Mostly breeding guppies have been what's been paying the bills.
That's so awesome, man. Congratulations. Yeah, because I saw on your Facebook page it was May 31st of 2021 was the actual grand opening, right?
Yeah, so we did it on Memorial Day.
Yeah.
We figured it's a special day, good day to do barbecuing, and we wanted to make a fun event out of it on our grand opening.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think your, kind of that drive, determination, your hustle of, having to work still as a bartender at Red Robin, it definitely, I think, is the realistic expectation of what it's like to open your own business. And hearing Corey's story of, how Katie was supporting the aquarium co-op in the early days with her job as a baker, at a local grocery store. Actually, not even local. Like she had to drive like 45 minutes to where she was a manager of a bakery. And so, just the sacrifices that you have to make in order to see your dream come true and to be able to support, a fledgling, business in its early days. It is a real thing, right? Especially when you're not taking out when you're not taking out loans and you're doing it in a fiscally conservative way and you're trying to manage your cash and your money supply. So, yeah, good on you for that, Dustin. That is some hustle and some determination. It's so awesome to see that you're hitting 3 years. And you're probably one of my favorite stores that I follow in the retail partner program because you're constantly posting updates. The fish that you post are fantastic, and it's great to see, the success that you're having.
Oh, I appreciate that. From day one, we always tried to focus on quality, not quantity. As you could tell with 9 tanks, we weren't very focused on quality or quantity.
Yeah. So what does your evolution look like for your store then? So from the 4 tanks and then how many monster tanks was it? Just a couple monster tanks?
So we actually had 5 monster tanks. So we
Okay.
also had a couple flower horns that were also in their own little 20
Oh,
gallons.
I love the flower horns. So then how did you evolve then? So what did your business start to look like? What did the fish room start to evolve into?
So we've done this journey kind of just slow. As long as we could invest another dollar, we did so. So in my first location, before the expansion, we basically took cinder blocks and continued to build out cinder block stands and put our tanks on there. And then about a year and a half into the journey, we started to see potential. We were excited where the store was going. We wanted to do better and expand. So we kind of halfway into our journey broke everything back down and rebuilt wood stands, did triple stacks to add more tanks. And then about year 2 and 2.5, we were starting to realize that we were meeting our capacity on the weekends. So we were only able to have 10 people in the store plus 2 employees. And we were having to have people wait outside, and it was becoming an inconvenience on the guests, and they weren't enjoying it. And so from there, we decided to try to expand into a unit across the parking lot. Luckily, we were able to get it. It's now double the size. And so the journey from there just basically, I'm sorry, Randy, I feel like I'm rambling, but
Oh no, no,
it,
this is hey, this is all podcasts are, Dustin. It's just a couple people rambling. So no, you're good. I do want to ask you. So you are because people know I love looking at stuff on Google Maps, and right now I've got the little street view. So you used to be next to the barber shop. Is that the original location?
yes, sir. So that was
Okay.
Unit N, and it was about 850 square feet.
And now you are across the parking lot, closer to the Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, so we're on that same side.
Okay.
We're actually on the
Okay.
end cap of the unit. It makes like a little
Oh,
horseshoe
cool.
shape.
Yeah, yeah, cool. All right, and that address is just so people at home want to join along. That's 1520 Deborah Road. Oh, your Facebook still says Unit N, but you're not Unit N anymore, are you?
No, sir. I will.
Okay.
I'll get that fixed right after this.
Hey, look at that Aquarius podcast. Like we help uncover things all the time.
Heck
But
yeah.
you are what suite are you?
So we're Suite A.
Okay, you're Suite A, Rio Rancho, New Mexico. And you told me, didn't you say that Mexican restaurant, or was there a sandwich joint that you said was amazing in your little in the shopping center?
Yeah, sadly, the sandwich shop had disagreements with the property management, and so they had to leave. But there's a new restaurant there. It's pretty good. They sell burgers, so
Okay.
it's highly
Yeah, the sandwich
recommended.
shop. Yeah, because I remember we talked like last year or something, and you said that the sandwich shop was pretty awesome.
I was by
So
far
yeah,
low key kind of glad they're gone. Just they were taking all my money. I was eating lunch there every day. I couldn't afford it.
nice. Now you got to make PBJs at home.
Yep.
All right, so let's. So I'll get you back on track, Dustin. So you're now in Unit A, which Google actually has. So Google Maps or Google listing does have Suite A. So you are good there. Okay, so you're in bigger Unit A. How much larger is it?
So we're sitting around 1,500 square feet.
Okay, and then you came from what was the other one, Unit N, like 700?
It was like 850.
Okay, nice. So big quality of life improvement for your guests. How has your display, like how many more display tanks do you have?
So we're actually working on, I'm glad you asked actually. We're working on a room. It's going to be called the Learning Center. So we're going to do different types of setups to try to educate people on the hobby, on how basically there's hundreds of different ways to set up ecosystems. And we want to show that there isn't one necessarily right way. So we're going to have 620 longs in there. We're going to have eight 5.5 gallons, 240 breeders. We have a nine 20 highs. We have a 75-gallon mud skipper, and then a 200-gallon acrylic tank and a 210. All going to just be for educational purposes and displaying parts of the hobby. We do plan on using 9 of the 20 highs for guests to come in and set up an aquascape, and we're going
Oh,
to
cool.
run them we're going to run them for a year, just display what 6-year-old Sammy can do to what my 90-year-old grandma can do, and anywhere from there. And so we're just excited to just show the hobby, bring it together, and create a little community.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It sounds like you are definitely providing an excellent place for your local hobbyists to come and not only get quality fish, but also engage and do cool stuff like scaping and whatnot. So another thing I'd like you to kind of talk about is the event that you had, which I'm definitely sorry that I could not attend it, but we had Corey McElroy of Aquarium Co-op. He came out to the fish room and did a meet and greet. So I was in Kentucky working on our new warehouse, and that's why I wasn't able to come out. But it sounds like it was a pretty good event. So can you kind of talk us through that?
Oh yeah, it was a phenomenal event. We had people start showing up an hour and a half before we opened. Started creating a little line, which was always exciting to see. It was a hectic day for sure. We were running around getting everything still set up, situated, trying to make it presentable for the opening. But once everyone came in, it was like a floodgate. We probably had 50 people in the store at one point and had a line going out for about 3 hours. Then it kind of died down for a little bit, and then it picked right back up about an hour and a half later. Um, it was a crazy day. We did about 120 transactions in one day. And on an average Saturday for us, we're looking about 25.
Oh wow,
So big
that's
difference.
yeah, yeah. That is definitely a pretty big difference in terms of transactions. And again, I'm looking at your Facebook page, looking at the pictures that you have of the line forming and the people inside your shop, and I love the vibe of like it feels like Aquarium Co-op, your store, like with the racks, how you have the display tanks. I think it looks phenomenal. I love that you're running the easy flows. Yeah, and I'm definitely bummed that I wasn't able to be there. And where you had Corey set up, is that your learning room?
Yes, sir. So we had him in that little extra area. It's about 250 square feet. And he was in there doing some autographs, signing, taking photos, and just hanging out. And he actually got to see our Macrostomus bettas, and I think he really enjoyed seeing those in there.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. So what's the hobbyist scene like in Rio Rancho, New Mexico?
It's slowly growing, so it was kind of small for a while. Luckily, we're next to Albuquerque, which is the largest city in New Mexico. So we have a lot of people funneling from Albuquerque, and then we also have a lot of people coming from Santa Fe, which is the capital. But just as the times we've been there, people are starting to see us driving by. Luckily, we are in the oldest shopping center in Rio Rancho, and there's 15 other shops besides us. So we're getting a lot of organic foot traffic and spread of word of mouth from other people. So
That's
it
awesome.
seems like for every one customer, it turns into 10 customers.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Do you have a local fish club in the area?
We do. It's going to be the New Mexico Aquarium Society.
Oh, awesome. And do they meet out of Albuquerque or are they Rio Rancho?
So they do both. Sometimes we host it at the shop. We like to do the potluck in December. Sometimes they do it in January. But a lot of times it's just someone hosting it at their house or at a local park.
What does the turnout look like when you have when the fish room, and again, that's something that Corey is a huge proponent of. If you are opening a fish store or you're currently a fish store owner, connecting with your local club, doing promotions, doing events, inviting them to have their meetings in your fish store. So what does that look like for you as the owner? Like what can you kind of what's your experience like when you have the fish club meeting?
Oh, it's always a blast. It seems like a lot of people want to come out and hang out, talk, always take a good bite to eat, and then afterwards they get to shop around at the store and get all their goodies and get to go home. So I feel like it's a good mutual relationship between us and the Aquarium Society. They get to have a place to meet, get to hang out, look at cool fish, and in the process, if they like something, they're able to pick it up.
Have you presented yet to the fish club yet? Have you been the speaker talking on selectively breeding guppies or your guppy operation or maybe running the fish room?
Sadly, they don't really have a BAT program. I've been trying to work with them and talking to them about it. I just don't feel like I'm necessarily the right person to take that role because at the end of the day, it could potentially impact my business in a positive or in a negative way.
Right, right. You're a little, yeah, you have a vested, especially a breeder award program, a BAP program where, encouraging people to work with different species of fish and breed them. Although I could definitely see you continuing to kind of make that push of like, obviously it's going to be beneficial for you, but at the same time, it's going to be highly beneficial for the club because it's another really fun program or activity to engage the members and for members to be able to share their experience. Have you given a talk yet, or does your fish club do they do talks, or are they more auction based?
No, they don't really do very many talks, and it's kind of more just a social get together. It's a very small group. Um, Sadly, there's only around 20 people that show up to the most of the meetings. If the potluck is going on and we're hosting it, we sometimes get around 30 to 40 people to show up. So it's a very
20,
small.
yeah, 20 feels like a decent gathering though. If five, I'd be a little depressed, but 20 seems like a decent number.
Right. They have over 2,000 followers on the Facebook page. So to get that low of percentage of turnout, it's To me, it seems a little depressing. Um,
Let's see here. It is the New Mexico Aquarium Society, you said?
yes, sir. And it's a great club. I love hanging out with them. They're great people. The people that show up are very loyal to the club. I just like to see new faces.
Sure, sure. All right, New Mexico Aquarium Society members. If you're a member on Facebook, almost, yeah, 1.9 thousand members. You guys got to start showing up to some of your fish club events. That sounds like some missed opportunities. And maybe if there was a breeder award program, hey, maybe some more people might show up and talk about their challenges and successes with breeding different species of fish. And maybe there's some little awards that could be given out, or yeah, I don't know. I'm not currently in a fish club right now, but I do really miss having a breeder award program, and definitely looking forward to plugging in with a local fish club and running a fish room again, so I can start working with some more species. So I'm in kind of a weird transient space right now, in the hobby. So, but yeah, I'm trying to live vicariously through others and their breeding projects.
Oh, heck yeah.
So, Dustin, what are some of the unexpected lessons learned or the ahas of making that transition from a hobbyist to a fish store owner?
All your free time is no longer free time. So you're constantly going to be at work. But luckily, it is something that I enjoy, and spending 12 hours a day with aquariums is not an issue. That would be the biggest aha moment. The second one would be everyone told you when you become your own boss, you can pick your own hours. Yes, that is slightly true, but you realize your own hours are 12-hour days, and if you don't work that, you're not making the money.
So I just published the episode that I did yesterday with Corey, so that's available right now. And he basically quoted that exact same thing about being his own store owner. I think he said something about, you can pick your own 70 hours, but you're still working 70 hours. So that's funny that you're also echoing that, and you didn't hear that episode because I just published it as you and I are talking.
Oh, that's crazy. Like, good minds think alike, and
Yeah, there
I
you
guess
go.
hard workers understand it. So, um,
Yeah, for sure.
but talking
The
about,
fish room. Oh, I'm sorry. Go for it.
oh, I was going to just say, talking about clubs, within our learning center that we're creating, we have created our own Facebook page, and it's the Fish Room community page. And
Oh, let's check that out.
we're wanting to do similar concepts of like clubs. So I have already talked to multiple people about doing presentations. So we have 4 people lined up to give a monthly talk. One of them is going to be over a live food culture. So we're going to film a live food culture presentation and post it on our community page. One of them is going to be about aquatic plants. And then another gentleman is going to do one over shrimps and Corridora breeding.
That's fantastic. And so this is kind of a quasi club with speaker, and this is in-person speakers.
So it's going to be an in-person speaker. We're going to have a small audience. We're probably going to limit to like 9 to 12 people, and then film it and then post it onto the community page.
That's awesome. Where did you come up with this idea?
So I felt like it's my spot and my position as a retail store owner that try to promote things, and I am in the position to be able to do so. And because I'm in that position, I want to be able to help the next person. And we also have some very knowledgeable people just in our local club, that people don't realize, and I just want their knowledge and information out. There's a gentleman that is very important to our business. His name is Max. He has a website called Max Aquatics, and he is our local breeder for our shrimps and Corridoras. And he has actually won first place at Aquashella Chicago for a couple of his different shrimps.
Oh,
And
that's awesome. I'm gonna
so
I'm gonna check out Max Aquatics right now. Max Aquatics. Does he have a YouTube channel?
he does not. He is one of our followers on our Facebook page. So it might
Okay.
be easier to find him through our Facebook page and then hit his name and his website. I don't personally
Gotcha.
haven't been to
Gotcha.
his website.
Oh, cool. Awesome. So Dustin, on some more kind of store related conversations, nuts and bolts, are you running an auto water change system in your store?
So that was also a reason of the expansion was is at our old location we were doing everything with 5 gallon buckets. And that was taking about 20 hours of my week just doing water changes. And so here at the new location we did build out an entire auto water change system, both in our quarantine room and on the main display floor.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. So it was 20 hours of tank maintenance, water changing in the old location, which was smaller and fewer tanks. And so, had you not done auto water change in the new larger location, you'd be spending more than 20 hours a week?
Oh, most definitely. So
Wow.
at the peak of our old location, we had about 30 aquariums, not including our 24 betta tanks. So in our betta tanks, we ran 5.5 gallons for every betta that we had.
So, so that must have just been like an amazing, like sigh of relief, feeling the weight off your shoulders when you fired up that auto water change system for the first time and you didn't have to change water.
Oh, it was mind blowing just seeing water trickle in to all the aquariums.
Did it feel like magic?
Oh, yeah, it was all the time and headaches and money that went into it. Now I just look at it and say it'll pay off eventually, but it's the time that's important now.
Well, the capital investment for the auto water change system, it's not really, I mean, other than the PVC and some fittings and some tubing, you've got what your sprinkler controller, your sprinkler, your valves, and it's not that capital intensive. Is there something different that you did that made it more expensive?
No, not really. It was just all the little parts that
Okay,
added up.
sure, sure.
So we did two bulkheads per tank.
Oh, okay.
We had so we have an overflow system, and then we have a hard drain connected to a ball valve.
Oh, that's why
So if
you
we
that's why you
wanted,
bought all my bulkheads, right?
oh yep,
Yeah, you
bought
wiped us
like
out. You wiped
300
us.
of them.
Yeah, you wiped us out on bulkheads because that's one of the products where it is a slow mover, but when somebody needs them, they need them for a fish room, or they need them like in your use case of I'm you know doing an auto water change, so I don't need one or two. Like we don't sell those really in onesie twosies. It's like, oh, I need 30. And so it kind of messes up the forecasting on it, which I don't want you to feel bad at all. I'm totally happy we're able to supply them to you. But yeah, you were the one that came in and just like wiped me out.
Oh man. Well, I guess it's an opportunity for another plug right there for Aquarium Co-op. Amazing bulkheads. They
The
fit
bulkheads.
nicely.
That's awesome. This episode sponsored by Aquarium Co-op Bulkheads. It's a slip-to-slip connection available in a half-inch PVC all the way up to 2 inch, I think is our largest size. So, if you were needing some bulkheads for your aquariums, there you go. Nice.
Heck yeah.
That's awesome. Any other technological changes? Anything else different that you did with the day-to-day running of the store from the original location to the second location?
Mostly lighting. So we have now streamlined our lighting. We are lucky enough that Aquarium Co-op helped us with some prototype lights. So we use some of those prototype lights on all of our 20 gallons that we have. And then any of our 10 gallons and 5 gallons, we're actually running the new Aquarium Co-op light. And so being able to promote the products that we actually use and sell has been a big positive within our business. So mostly just streamlining the products that we actually want to use and sell.
What has it been like? Because I'm thinking that you were open for. I guess tell me, how long were you open for before we officially started up the retail partner program and started letting independent retailers sell Aquarium Co-op products?
Oh, it had to be only like 6 to 8 months or so
Okay.
of being open.
And then what was that like of going from no Aquarium Co-op products? Because the retail partner program is still a new thing for us. I mean, I think we're going on maybe a year and a half I feel like under 2 years of actually allowing other stores to sell our stuff, which for the longest time we didn't because we just didn't have a wholesale operation set up. As a store owner, what has that been like for you? What has been your experience in the retail partner program?
Oh, it's been game changer. It's very easy to tell someone a product is good when you truly believe it and you're actually using it on your everyday process. So even before I was a retail partner, I was running y'all sponge filters in my store. And so like if you look at day one grand opening photos at the old location, you can actually see y'all sponge filters in there, some of your bio rings that y'all have. So it has been game changer because now I could actually say we sell this product instead of saying go here to get what I believe to be the superior product. So just being able to have that in house, it did definitely increase our sales and revenue there. Um, I would say less than 6 months of carrying y'all's products, it was the number one category in our store.
That's awesome.
So we we sell a lot of Easy Green, we sell a lot of the sponge filters and a lot of the air pumps. So I would say those three products right there are the staple for our consumers that are Aquarium Co-op branded for sure.
What is a product that as a store owner you would like to see Aquarium Co-op develop or improve or include in our lineup? And I will throw it out there that we have a very big focus on, and we've had a big focus on foods. We've done tremendous amounts of testing. We continue to do a lot of testing, and we keep working on different formulas for flake and pellets and other types of food. But our standards pretty darn high, so we haven't pulled the trigger yet on taking anything to production because we're still fine tuning. But what would you like to see us carry or work with?
Well, I would be excited for y'all to try to use the Easy Flow Up kit that y'all have created and find a way to utilize that for a hang on the back filter. I
Hmm.
would love to have an air driven hang on the back filter.
There has been we have talked about such things. I can't. There's
So
nothing. There's nothing. Maybe in official development yet, but we've definitely discussed and had some conversations around an air driven hang on the back filter for sure. So yeah,
it'd just
that's
be one of the greatest polishing pads for like a goldfish tank because I
hmm
already have the air system running. So just tap in an extra little nozzle to it and put a
yeah, because
polishing pad in a.
yeah, because I think one of the immediate reactions people might have is like, oh, can an air filter really be that powerful? And I think the answer is yes if you're running a linear piston air pump. Like if you're running, if you have the right air system, then I mean you can like if you hook a sponge filter into a linear piston air system, a circulating system, and you crank that thing on full, like it will rip. It will absolutely rip, and there will be more air going into that sponge filter than the sponge filter can handle. So I don't think the air itself is a limitation. It's just yeah, kind of like the nuts and bolts of like how do you actually make this thing work, have the air flow, have the water flow, and have it accomplish everything that a hang on back can do, but get rid of the annoying things like the whole do you have the motor, the impeller inside the tank like a C-Chem title, or do you have it inside the body of the unit like a AquaClear? Which pros and cons, right? The pro of an AquaClear is that you're keeping the electrical component out of the aquarium, so it's one less electrical thing, but it can struggle and does struggle in a power outage to reprime itself. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Where a title will run once the power kicks back on, but you have the pump, the electrical component is now inside the aquarium. That's one more thing that can cause electricity to kind of give you that nice tingly sensation when you're sticking your hand in the aquarium, which has happened to me a couple times with some other types of electronic components.
Definitely put my hand in an aquarium one time and realized the heater was bad. Definitely felt that tingling.
Yep. And it's like, oh, that's why my blue diamond discus were acting silly. Was this, brand of heater I won't name has, decided to go on the fritz. So no, fritz, that was a bad word. Fritz is a a water conditioning supplying company, nothing to do with electronics. Go haywire. Let's say that.
Right.
All right, Dustin. Well, I think we are approaching our time here. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with? Anything that you want the folks to know about the fish room and, running a fish store and kind of your journey?
Yeah, so it's been a blast. If you ever get the opportunity, I would recommend taking the lunch for it. I personally believe the only thing stopping you is going to be you yourself. So mindset is definitely going to be the hardest part of the journey, but if you have it, it is definitely a fun one. Um, we do like to focus at the fish room for quality and not over quantity. So we do have a smaller selection, but it's typically a selection that you won't find elsewhere. So we like to focus on that type of stuff and local breeders. We do quarantine all of our livestock for a minimum of 2 weeks with medications. And then we also have everything on separate filtration, and we just want to try to provide the community the healthiest fish that we can.
That's awesome,
So
Dustin. And
yeah.
again, I'm super enthusiastic and I'm very optimistic because seeing your store where you started it with two stimulus checks, which actually I wanted to touch on and say that if ever there was a hey, did show me an example of stimulus checks actually stimulating the economy beyond like somebody just making a purchase for a splurge item, right? Or, I know some people used it for necessities, but you actually using a stimulus check to start a business, which is stimulating your local Rio Rancho, Albuquerque, greater area economy, I think is super awesome and is a really cool story because I think it was $1,200 somewhere in that ballpark over two checks.
So we got one that was right at 1200, and then I got another one that was at like 1500, and that basically covered the down deposit for the store, the unit to get the electric, the gas all put into my name, and buy probably like 40 cinder blocks and some 2x4s to put tanks on.
That's awesome, Dustin. I think your story, dude, is so cool, and I love that the hard work that you had to put in is such a testament to your commitment to your store, and I think that's phenomenal. And I hope everybody in that area that doesn't know about you, hopefully they shortly learn about you and go in and enjoy what you're offering. And I hope to see continued posts and just success for the fish room in Rio Rancho.
Oh, I appreciate that, Randy. Hopefully one day we can have you come out and check it out.
I would hope within the next year or two, I'm able to come out to your store, and there's a good handful of other retail partner stores too that I feel like in their local area are just doing such awesome work with the community and what they're offering to customers. So I'm definitely I'm itching to get out there, and I'm bummed that I missed your grand opening event with Corey. Unfortunately, I had a pretty decent reason to miss it, but
Oh, you had to work.
yeah, well, thank you so much, Dustin, for your time. I hope everybody enjoyed hearing your journey from a guppy obsessed hobbyist to the owner operator of what I would say is a very successful fish store that's celebrating its third anniversary.
Oh, I appreciate it, Randy, and I am grateful that you had us on today.